There's an old game we used to play as kids. I'll wager most people hearing my voice now have taken part in something similar. We called it the truth. For a set amount of time, whomever was gathered together could only tell the truth. Not so much truth or dare, but just the truth. The point was to see how far we could go in telling the truth and what we wanted to reveal about ourselves. It was up to our competition in the group to hear something they knew was a lie and could then prove it. So here we go. Let's tell the truth here for a few moments, no matter how painful it might be. The two main individuals we are talking about as the next president of the United States are both liars. Let's not couch it. Let's not excuse it by saying it's what politicians do or their lies of omission or lies of bad memory. Let's just flat out say that both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump have told and will continue to lie. Small ones, medium-sized ones, whoppers that will blow everybody away with the audacity of the words, but they will lie. Hillary Clinton ran afoul of this truth over the weekend, as she is still apparently unable to come to grips with what the facts are in her email issues, and it thus speaks directly to a simple question. Why should America trust either one of these individuals to lead our country? Welcome back, the retired Air Force general, former director of the CIA and the NSA, author of Playing to the Edge, American Intelligence in the Age of Terror, General Michael Hayden. General, thanks for joining us. Okay, before we begin, I'll play the game with you and just get a real quick 15 seconds from you. Is it not fair to say that, A, that game's been around for a long, long time, and B, all politicians still lie?
Well, 39 years in an American military uniform, I'll back away from some of the very specific language. But I will tell you, in the discussions over the weekend, the discussions of Ukraine and what's going on there by one candidate was totally fact-free. And the discussions of the emails over here by the other candidate, the system she set up for anyone like me was inconceivable, and the later explanations of it were incoherent. So that's my language to describe your phenomenon.
Okay, there you go. It still basically says the same thing. We're in the same arena here, so let's work from that. And let's go to Hillary Clinton on Fox News Sunday this week. The Washington Post fact-checked her claims that FBI Director Comey said her email answers were truthful. 1, 2, 3, 4. Their worst rating, 4 Pinocchios, not even close. So then taking that into account, what you said about Donald Trump and his comments about the Ukraine, the fact that he shows a real lack of knowledge about foreign policy and how it works around the world, then here's that simple question. Whom then of the two candidates can we really trust to be in charge of our national security and our international security?
Ed, look, I'm over 70 years old, and this is the most difficult election I've ever faced because, like most of America, I've got strong disapproval fractions for both candidates. This is something that I've not yet decided. I am pretty much convinced that Mr. Trump just doesn't have the tools to lead America when it comes to national security, but that in no way suggests that I'm prepared to vote for Secretary Clinton either. And so I think Mike Hayden, like a whole bunch of other Americans, is facing quite a dilemma.
What kind of information? Give us a little insight, if you will, because we hear now that Donald Trump is going to start receiving some intelligence briefings, and Hillary Clinton has certainly already received those as Secretary of State and her time in politics. What exactly are they getting here? Because some people claim it's not really much at all.
Right, Ed. It won't really be much at all until one of them is the president-elect. Now, as nominees of those two big parties, each of them are entitled to some intelligence briefings between now and November. Frankly, that won't happen very often, one or two maybe. They're going to look more like advanced college seminars than they are the president's daily brief. There'll be generalized treatment of global problems. They'll be stamped secret, but there won't be a whole lot of sensitive information in those briefings. So with regard to that, I'm not hyperventilating over those issues at all. But Ed,
yeah.
On the Wednesday after the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November, one of these two human beings is going to get the president's daily brief, full up, just like the one President Obama is going to get on that morning. And there you've got another issue.
Is it not fair to say, though, that if that happens and if Hillary Clinton is sitting in that chair, which will make a lot of people very unhappy, that she already knows what is coming? She may not have been actually in it, but she knows what's going to be in that packet.
Oh, no, she will. Look, I picture that first briefing with Secretary Clinton beginning with something along the lines of, so where were we? and then picking up the narrative of a whole bunch of problems which she frankly has a great deal of familiarity with.
And a whole bunch of problems that some people would say she actually was part of the authoring of, but that's another story for another day. I want to get to the comments made by retired Marine General John Allen, also on one of the Sunday shows on ABC this week, where he talked about some issues regarding Donald Trump if he would be elected, and used the phrase civil military crisis. Here's what he said.
We would be facing a civil military crisis, the like of which we've not seen in this country before. You know, from the moment that those of us who are commissioned, and of course all of our enlisted troops as well, assume the mantle of our responsibility in uniform when we swear an oath to support and defend the Constitution, which is a document and a set of principles, and it supports the rule of law. One of those is to ensure that we do not obey illegal orders.
I come from a military family. My father, a proud veteran of the U.S. Army. So I grew up an Army brat in so many ways, and knew all about orders and how they had to be followed and what went on in the military chain of command. But let me ask you, the general here is believing that there might actually be a public feud between military leaders and a Donald Trump administration, and some people have used the phrase even insurrection is what they've talked about. Do you honestly believe that we're at a point in our history where something like that could happen?
No, I don't think we're anywhere near an insurrection, even within any foreseeable future. And to give General Allen his credit, he did say when the military objected to some of these orders that he feared might be coming out of a Trump presidency, he said he hoped that the discussion would be kept quiet and these things would be worked out in a very, very professional manner. And look, here's the issue that I'm sure you and your dad will identify with. All of us in uniform give great deference to the elected officials of the United States. We want to follow their orders. But there are some cases, and I'm afraid Mr. Candidate Trump has suggested some cases where if he did those things as president that he said he would do while he was a candidate, there will be a lot of people in an American military uniform, myself included, who would simply have to say, that's just not going to happen, sir. I'm sorry, we won't do that. And that would create torque. That would create that crisis in civil military relations. So Ed, I kind of agree with General Allen's point in that regard. I do, however, stop well short of what he did at the convention and yesterday on ABC News, which was to endorse another candidate. I'm not doing that. But I do recognize the tension that would be created if a President Trump governs the way a candidate Trump has spoken.
A couple of minutes we have left. A few other things here. Should we not at this point in our societal evolution look at the Russians and look at what they're doing with regard to the various email hacks and the various hacks maybe of the DNC and others, and look at this almost as a Cold War situation? We are at war with these people, and I got to tell you, General, there's a time when some people look at what this administration is doing and they wonder, do they get it, that we're really in a war with these people and we've got to act like it?
Ed, I agree. If you look at the pattern of Russian behavior over the past, half dozen years or more, it has been very aggressive towards the United States, towards the West, towards the international order, the occupation and annexation of Crimea, the occupation of eastern Ukraine, threats against the Baltics, harassing flights and flybys of U.S. naval ships and aircraft in international waters, the Russian presence in Syria, bolstering Bashar al-Assad. I mean, all of these things subtract, I think, from global order, and they are certainly contrary to the interests of the United States. And frankly, Ed, I totally agree with you. The current administration should have been pushing back a lot more prior to this point. And so, Ed, I'm puzzled then when Mr. Trump's supporters at the Republican convention a week or so ago fight to take a plank out of the Republican platform that would have called for giving the Ukrainians defensive arms. In this instance, at least, President Obama and Mr. Trump are in total agreement.
I got about 30 seconds left. We're back in Libya again, U.S. warplanes carrying out war strikes today, and we have this word about an October surprise coming from the president. What do you think that surprise would be?
Well, I don't know, and I guess by the definition of surprise, if you can predict it, it's not much of a surprise. I am heartened that we are using American air power in a more expansive way. A lot of folks like me have said we should have been doing that a lot longer and a lot more aggressively. So we'll see what the results of the raid were on CERT and whether it's the indication of a continuing campaign and not a one-off, but only time will tell.
Only time will tell, and that time when we spend together next time, we have to dig a little bit more into this October surprise here and see what we think it might be. It's going to be great stuff until we get there. I want to remind everybody again, the book again, it is a brilliant tome, and you really need to get a hold of this to learn a little bit more about what is really going on. Playing to the Edge, American Intelligence in the Age of Terror. General Michael Hayden, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, one of the main issues that we have to look forward to in the criticisms of Hillary Clinton is that she'll rubber stamp everything Barack Obama left.